Good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing? Welcome to another edition of your pronunciation workshop. This is AG Languages, and we're very happy to have you here. So are you ready? Nice. So to start, let's answer this question. What's today's class about? As usual, our topic is hidden behind this phonetic transcription. Who wants to help me deciphering this phonetic transcription? Any volunteer? Okay, go ahead, please. Was that Evelyn or Karen or Bianca? Who is that? Who wants to decipher the topic? Okay, no worries. I'm going to help you with the topic. It says invented for better. Okay, that's the topic. Invented for better, and we're going to use it to focus our attention on some consonants. Okay, this is class number 8, and we're going to focus our attention on ed endings, verbs and adjectives, flap T and D. Let me show you what else we're going to see in this preview. We're going to talk about points of articulation. We're going to learn a bit more. We're going to go over voiced and voiceless consonants. We're going to use this paragraph about technology to learn a little bit more about this topic. As usual, we have our 3 questions. We have some statements, and we'll see if we agree or disagree with them. We have our tongue twister, okay? And let's start with this topic, invented for better. So let's read this paragraph, technology and me. It says, working for Starling Bank as a software engineer at 17 years of age, I've realized that I have the unique ability to make any of my colleagues feel very old and sometimes very uncomfortable. As a child, I grew up surrounded by technology. I can remember a time without the World Wide Web being a few clicks away because I have never existed in a time when the internet hasn't been around. Just a few days ago, some of us at work were having lunch when somebody brought up the subject of my still being in secondary school, and I happily chimed in and mentioned that I just did my GCSEs last year. I was met with a resounding message to never say anything like that again. Okay, so let's use this paragraph and let's get some samples from it. Here we have some, like for example, this word here, realized, surrounded, existed, chimed, mentioned. Okay, we're talking about ed endings, right? Mentioned, chimed, existed, surrounded, realized. Okay. Let's talk about flap T and D. Ability. Somebody brought up. So here we have our flap T, ability, ed, flap D, somebody, and again the T, brought up. There you go. So let's focus on ed endings and flap T and D. Here you can find more information if you want more. And here we're going to talk about the point of articulation. Okay, so you know that we are talking about consonants that are obstruent, stop, voiceless, and voice consonants. Last class was about obstruent, stop, voiceless consonants like p, t, k, and we had, you know, our little piece of paper. P, t, k. And this time we're going to focus our attention on the t, which is an obstruent, stop, voiceless consonant. And we say voiceless because there is no vibration. If you touch here, your throat, you're going to feel no vibration when you make the sound t, t, t. Nonetheless, when we go to the d, there is vibration. So it makes it an obstruent stop voiced consonant. Okay, where does it happen? It happens right here, right before your front teeth in the alveolar ridge. Okay, so as you can tell, if you talk about these two consonants, you can, let's say, realize that they have the same point of articulation with the tip of the tongue. And actually, while I'm saying tip and tongue, I can feel the tip of my tongue touching the alveolar ridge. The same thing happens for letter D. The only difference is that one, the T is voiceless, meaning no vibration, and the D, 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 D is voiced. So there is vibration, but they have the same point of articulation. It is very important to give this in mind. Same point of articulation, okay? The same thing happens with the K and G. One is voiceless and the other one is voiced, but it is the same point of articulation. They are velar. We're going to see that later. So voiced and voiceless consonants. We have a long list here, and we actually went over this last week, but we're going to focus our attention here. And dot and top, d, d, d. Can you feel that? That's a vibration because it is voiced, d, d, d. Whereas tap is t, t, t. And there is no vibration. If you feel a vibration, it's not because of the t, but because of the tap, t, t, tap. Okay, so yeah, verbs that end in a t sound, they might be simple past or adjectives, and verbs that end in a d sound, they might be as well verbs in simple past or adjectives. So here we have a list of verbs that end in a d sound: acted, added, blended, chatted, celebrated, completed, corrected, created, dated, decided, departed, exported, graduated, greeted, imported, included, invented, invited, and the list goes on. Okay. So verbs that end in voiceless consonant, sound plus t. So here's another list. This time we're not going to have the d sound. We're going to have the t sound. When did this happen? When we have a voiceless consonant preceding that sound. Asked, barked, checked, cooked, crossed, danced, dropped, and again, the list goes on. So same ending, but remember, before this t sound, there is a voiceless consonant. That's the important thing. It is really important. So please remember these two, okay? And these two lists, if you want to improve your pronunciation when it comes to the simple past, and when it comes to adjectives ending in ed, it's really important to know when they are voiced and when they are voiceless. You need to keep that in mind all the time, and you're going to improve your pronunciation dramatically. Okay, let's keep going. So we have our verbs ending in d: admired, agreed, answered, believed. All right. Okay. So just to remember as a summary, verbs that end in a t sound are the verbs that end in voiceless consonant sounds plus t, voiceless consonant. The ones that end in a d, those are the ones that end in voiced consonant or vowel sounds plus d. Okay. Now, these rules also apply to most ed adjectives. For example, an interested person, an interested person, a matched pair, a bruised arm. So you can tell matched, this one is a ch, voiceless. That's why it ends in a t sound. And here, bruised, this one is voiced because the z is voiced. There's vibration. That's why we end with the d sound. Okay, in some adjectives, ed is pronounced as a syllable, even though the base word doesn't end in t or d. Many of these adjectives end in k or g. I think we mentioned, I mentioned this before. They have the same point of articulation. And naked, two-legged or wretched. Now here, let's talk about flap T and D. When T and D are preceded by a stressed vowel and followed by another vowel, they're flapped. You can also think of this sound as a fast D, or what I call it in Spanish, an ere. Okay, ere. The flap is a voice sound, a characteristic feature of American and Canadian English. For example, you have words like letter, writer, water, add in, data, and middle. Now, this creates some homophones. So words like letter, same here, letter, put in, same here, put in, leader, and here the same, leader. That's what we get with the flap D. If you want to know more about this and many other topics, you can visit us at aglanguages.com. You can also subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and you can leave us a comment there. We're also on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Okay. There, you're going to have access to our teachers from Spanish-speaking countries and English-speaking countries. All of us work under the PTE General. Okay.